2013 European Rally Championship heads to Poland. It's the 70th Rally Poland, round 9 of 12 of this year's ERC. And as we head into the second day in a wet Polish heartland, we have lost one of the biggest stars of the event. Robert Kubica has had a pretty major effect on proceedings during the first day, but will play no further part in the rally after a major damaging off yesterday. Removed the wheel from his car and the pole from the event. Nevertheless, plenty for the Polish spectators to get their teeth into today. Battle for European Rally Championship supremacy. Their local rally title just about to be decided, and still lots of star Polish drivers in the mix. Well, good morning everybody. Welcome to the first of our two runs through this stage today. Two live events on Eurosport for you. I'm Martin Haven. Sitting alongside me is Guy Wilkes. And Guy, disappointing the fans seeing the end of Robert Kubica. This is where it happened.
Massive disappointment. Obviously he's a huge star in Poland, and disappointment for us as well watching today. You know, it's nice to see him out and driving again, and he's massively competitive in a rally car as well, so you can physically see the damage that was caused yesterday, and obviously he can play no further part. He had no other choice but to try and drag that car to the end of the stage.
Well, the man who was in charge of proceedings almost right from the start yesterday through the 7 stages was Frenchman Brian Bouffier, out in his now fairly elderly Peugeot 207 Super 2000 car. Katanovic, his arch rival in the battle for Polish Championship honours. Both of them are 3-time champions. He had a little off. No major damage though for Katanovic, and it looks as though he has done enough now to secure a 4th Polish rally title. And another veteran Polish rally driver, Mikołajki, drove himself right into contention. He is one of the older men in the field, and his experience has kept him within shouting distance at the podium. After stage 9, there's been an overnight lead change. Bouffier now 1.7 seconds behind after a broken damper, and then the battle for third is just a couple of seconds apart as well. Craig Breen in 6th position ahead of Krzysztof Hołowczyk, and as we said, we have lost Robert Kubica. We will get ready for live action right after this. Getting ready for stage 10 of Rally Poland 2013. Cars lining up at the stage start. First man on the road today in his Mitsubishi Lancer is Lithuania's Dominykas Butvilas. Good morning everybody. Martin Haven and Guy Wilkes ready to sit back with you and enjoy the action live on board. Stage 10 will have, this stage will have 2 runnings this morning and this evening. So let's sit back and see how conditions are. A little drier this morning, Guy, and there won't be anybody in the field, I think, that'll be unhappy with that.
Absolutely not. I mean, you could see from some of the shots earlier, it was struggle to differentiate between the road and the ploughed fields. Obviously today it looks slightly different landscape, a lot more trees if we started in this stage. But Vilas has been quick this morning. He's 3rd fastest in the first stage, and in the second stage also he was 11th fastest, so he dropped his pace. I'm sure he'll be wanting to try and fight back, obviously leading Group N in this rally. So the stages today would probably suit the car a little bit more if it's drier and a bit quicker.
A little bit less stage mileage today, 116 kilometres of competitive stages to compare to 123 yesterday, but it'll probably go a lot quicker if it remains dry. And the drivers after yesterday, it was in fact, great quote from Jan Kopecki yesterday saying today's stages were not gravel, they were essentially a mixture of mud and water, and I think probably not very much of the former either. So pretty, he thought it was a pretty tough day yesterday. And it was interesting, wasn't it, that the kind of mental attitude of some of the drivers. He was one of those, you know, like maybe 3 guys in the top 10 who came out going, oh my goodness, that was just terrible, you know, really, really tricky. And all the others came out going, oh, that was really, really tricky. Fantastic, loved it.
Yeah, completely.
It's kind of the mindset, really.
I think we were slightly tongue-in-cheek saying it was dry or drier. I think is what we mean. A lot less standing water. It's you can see from the start of the stage, it's still a lot of big puddles, but generally in between those puddles, you know, the road is drying out. And yeah, mentality plays a huge part in every sport, and rallying's no different. You know, if you can accept the conditions and just get on with it, get stuck in there and enjoy it, makes a hell of a difference.
Well, I hope you're getting some audio from on site at the moment. We're not hearing it in our ears. This is Jeremy Ancian, one of the 2 Peugeot Rally Academy drivers. He and Craig Breen battling just outside the lead positions. And again, the Peugeot 207, I mean, it was 5 years ago, I guess, the front-running car in the IRC, and it has gradually been overtaken. And so the new Peugeot can't come soon enough, really, I think, for the company.
Absolutely, the R5 car has been developed. It's already made its debut as a zero car in Ypres, and I'm sure the guys in the Peugeot will be hungry to get their hands on that car. It's going to be a big development from this car. You know, this car now is, like you said, it's aged. It is an older car. But Jeremy Ansian, he's doing a good job. Gravel isn't his favourite surface, but he's getting to the end of events and getting mileage underneath his belt. And I'm sure he is looking up to Craig Breen and trying to close the gap on Craig. Especially in this sort of rally. Craig struggled a little bit for whatever reason, obviously new co-driver, but you know, when we see Craig on the road, hopefully we have a little bit of background noise and we can hear some pace not delivery.
Well, they've both got a similar background, haven't they? Tarmac rallying and then converting it more into a kind of jack of all trades, as you have to be in a modern international rally championship. You can't just be a tarmac expert, you can't just be a gravel expert, you've got to work on both. It tends to be the case historically that where you came from is your strongest suit. I don't think anybody would say just because he grew up on tarmac, Sebastian Loeb is better on tarmac than he is on gravel.
Absolutely not. You know, you can't be a tarmac specialist. There used to be tarmac specialists 10, 12, 13 years ago. Gilles Panisse, Francois Delacour. You were allowed to be, you could be drafted in to do tarmac rallies or gravel rallies. You know, the teams didn't have rally drivers that competed the whole time for the whole championship, but now they do. You know, you can no longer fit into a category of a tarmac driver or a gravel driver. You have to be able to manage both. Teams want continuity and a driver who can do everything.
On-board view from Estonia's third runner on the road. This is Martin Kangor, run by Mark Martin. Again, we're hearing nothing, but let's sit back and hopefully you'll be able to enjoy the sounds of the car from on board.
Parem 7 pikk läheb 6 miinuseks, 60, vasak 3 pluss, 40, 60, vasak 3 pluss, 40, parem 5 pikalt taha.
Well, Martin Kangor pressing on in the M Sport built Fiesta, built up in Cumbria, Malcolm Wilson's M Sport operation, and this one of the newer R5 variants, and this is kind of the future now for non-WRC cars, Guy Wilkes.
Absolutely. I mean, Peugeot have developed one, Ford have developed one, Citroën have one. You know, everybody's going that way, and I think it's this global engine, you know, 1.6 turbos for World Touring Car, and obviously World Rally Car have it as well, although R5 is a detuned version of it. It just seems to be the way they're going and trying to reduce costs in whatever way they can. Whether it works like that, you know, I can't answer. I don't have to spend budget, luckily, on rallying anymore. But Martin Kangor, he's young, up-and-coming Estonian, obviously run by Marco Martin, and everybody will be familiar with Marco Martin's name, who's watched rallying. But he's doing a good job. He's been consistent now. He has experience of rallying. He's rallied a lot around Europe. We're just expecting a little bit more pace. He showed glimpses of it yesterday. He set a fastest time and a second fastest time. This morning, 7th and 7th. He just needs to get that next step up and be consistent with it.
We can see from the state of the back of the car, he's been hanging it out a bit this morning. But again, look at this stage. You know, it is, you know, if this was in the Forest of Dean, you'd be thinking, okay, we might not use this. It's a bit on the narrow side, because a lot of the stages are like this, very, very narrow indeed. And any time the car gets sideways, you're dragging it through the scenery.
Absolutely, they're great roads. I mean, you can see there that they're cutting the grass just into the fields, on the bank sides. And with it being wet, they're trying to use every bit of the road that they can to find grip wherever they can, just hooking the corner on the inside there, dropping the wheel into the field a little bit, just to create a little bit of leverage, a little bit of hold from the front of the car, so they can carry more speed around the corner. If they stayed on the flat of the road, the car would drift just that little bit wider with the same speed. So you've got to use, that's roadcraft or stagecraft, I like to call it.
That was a classic indication of an age-old technique, ditch hooking. You drop the inside wheel inside, it helps keep you tight in the corner, because of course even a road like this has got a bit of a crown, so if you start off in the middle and you drift wide, then it ends heading up downhill, so you like to be on the inside, and again you see it try to hook the wheel inside the corner. And when you hear in the notes a co-driver calling "don't cut," there's a reason that he's saying that. It's because traditionally you would try and cut the inside of the corner and there's something in there, a culvert, some stones, some log piles or something.
Yes.
Yeah, not go in there.
Yeah, it's one thing to have it noted in your pace notes. We saw yesterday, Robert Kubica, you know, obviously didn't have that in his pace notes. Nobody had been in that part of the grass, and he paid the ultimate price, you know. 90% of the time you would get away potentially with that, and obviously bang. So that's the opposite side of the coin. But you can see from the road here, obviously it's flat farming land, and they're having to put bales, the organisers, on the inside of the corners to try and stop and make the road as such to stop the drivers just cutting through the fields, because the fields are as flat as the road in places. There are no ditches, no embankments.
Stop up, right line, too slow, 3 minus sharp over jump, 80, stop up, deceptive, 8 times too fast, times too 4 minus sharp over crest jump, 30, slight left, 80, right crest and 3 left plus, big cut, into 2 right plus, cut, 70, early 5 right minus, cut, into left times, too late, 4 plus in over crest, 50, flat to left.
You can just listen there to Lara. It's the first time that Lara sat in the car with Craig. And I'm used to hearing a lot more information from Craig Breen's pace notes. He's known to be quite technical. We can see on the right hand side, Jeremy Onsion has stopped there. Don't know what the problem is.
Well, that looks as though that's past the stage finish. Either that or there's some very ornamental bits on the side of the stage. Interesting. I mean, a lot of the time, you know, especially if you play rally games or you watch a lot of World Rally Championship, you know, the distances that they're calling between the notes, so, you know, 150 fast right or 200, whatever. Here it's 30, it's 50, it's 80. Shows you how much more compressed the stages are. It's really, really busy.
It is. I mean, these roads aren't that technical, so I'm not surprised that the Craig hasn't got so much information in the notes, but I'm still used to hearing a lot more being delivered, even on this style of road. And I'm just wondering if he subconsciously, when he made his pace notes, he has been saying that he's been struggling with making his pace notes a little bit too defensively this morning, in fact. I'm just wondering if subconsciously he had a new navigator and he was making his pace notes when they did the recce that little bit more simple. And the flow, the rhythm isn't there, and that's everything to a driver. It's not necessarily a fault of Lara. You can hear she's getting the pace notes out. I've done it myself with co-drivers that you're not necessarily used to, or you get in the car the first time, and it makes all the difference.
See the two Peugeot juniors quick this morning. Jeremy Onsion fastest at that split. Craig Green just 2 seconds behind. And look at the gear indicator as well in the quadrant. Flat in sixth, fast left, full commitment. And the car waving all over the road. But this is absolutely keep it buried territory. This is one of the faster sectors on the stage, and you can just see it's almost like a New Zealand road, isn't it? Just long sweepers.
You can see how soft the car is, sorry, because the roads are so slippery, and when the road is wide and hard like this, you can see so much roll in the car. The driver will want to have a lot more control than he actually does. He's just having to manage the car down this bit and drive as fast as he can. You can see Craig there sending Lara on.
Yeah. And that's an indication that the notes are arriving just a little too late for him, and he's, as again, you know, if you've driven simulators, often happens, the note is just too late.
He's eager, he's pushing.
2 left plus half long and big crest and 7 2 left minus tightens, 80, stop up, slow, crest, so 3 right.
Przechodzi. 5.
Eurosport's coverage of Rally Poland continues. We're on board now with the local hero Michał Kościuszko, driving with a cracked vertebra from a previous accident. And the way the points stack up, it seems that yesterday on the stages in the 70th Rally Poland, he did enough to gain the points he needed for a 4th Polish national rally title. So if he didn't yesterday, he absolutely should do today. And Guy Wilkes really had a pretty decent day yesterday. Kind of a new car to him, this Ford Fiesta R5, as it is for a lot of drivers. Everybody's still getting to grips with this new project from M Sport.
Michael has a lot of miles underneath him with these type of cars, to be honest. You know, he's obviously struggling with, I didn't know he had a broken vertebra. I've had a couple myself. It is not a position to be driving a car in, really, to be honest. So it's obviously more healed than it is damaged. But at the same time, I was expecting more from him yesterday, and on the previous stage to this one, he was second fastest. That's where I would expect him to be sitting, you know, second, third, and popping in the odd fastest time. I think we'll probably find he's going to be quite quick at this split point.
Fastest through so far, Jeremy Oncian and Craig Breen, the two Peugeot 207s, but they're outside the top half dozen in the overall standings overnight. So we should see some of the drivers coming up now going quicker than them. The new machinery as well. It's not just that it's a different engine, of course. Suspension technology has advanced enormously in the last probably decade, I suppose, since the 207 was first introduced as a rally car, and this car will benefit from that. The Super 2000 cars as well, like the Peugeot, like the Skoda, high revving, normally aspirated engine, not ideal for mud plugging. It's no surprise that a lot of off-roading is done with diesel engines. You want low down torque, and to a degree the turbos will produce that and be maybe a more drivable car in these conditions as well.
Absolutely. Just to say, the Peugeot, they did have to perform an evolution of the damper, and they made their own in-house dampers up until only 3 years ago, and they had to go external to Peugeot Sport to put a different damper on the car, especially on gravel. The Peugeot Sport damper was fantastic damper on the tarmac, the asphalt, but on the gravel they were just losing out, and with that decision. Having said that, the damper that was on 3 years ago, the car is not designed to have the travel like these new R5 cars. It is not as capable on this sort of terrain, so you know it's definitely worth time.
So in the inset stage finish, this is Dominicus Butvilas. And of course, when I said that maybe it looked like Jeremy Oncian had got to the end of the stage, I neglected that, of course, if he had done, we might well have heard from him via Neil Cole, who is down there at the stage finish. And we will hear from the Lithuanian driver.
You're first through the stage. Can you tell us the conditions?
Yeah, the conditions are quite good, but in the end, in the fields, there is a lot of mud still. But the start of the stage, the first part is quite dry.
Cool,
That's kind of the way it
collected.
looked to us as well, but yeah.
Cool, calm and collected on the right-hand side, back in car now. It's looking pretty quick, you know. Look, beautiful roads, to be honest. I've never been over there, but that section on there was absolutely fantastic.
And it's properly quick as well, isn't it?
It is. On board with Krzysztof Holowicz. He's not been too impressed with his driving this morning. He was doing a great job yesterday, very consistent, and this morning he's just dropped his pace, and he said at a couple of the end of stages this morning that just wasn't confident.
Well, we're hearing through our ears that Jeremy Oncian's mechanical problem was a pump shaft. Now, whether that means a drive shaft or a pump, some kind of pump breakage, I don't know. So we will have to take advice on that later. However, it would seem that he didn't make it through the stage. He is somewhere out of action, and that will pretty much be the end of his event.
You can see how narrow it is there. They're obviously, the organisers put those bales in place to stop people cutting through that guy's front garden by the looks of it.
Yes.
He doesn't need to fence it. He lives out on the sticks, and he's quite proud of his vegetable patch, or his lawn, as it might be. Here's Jan Kopecki. We can hear the vibration in the car. He has a prop shaft problem. He's not sure if he's going to be able to make it back to service.
Yeah, unfortunately, a bolt sheared, prop shaft is severed, and Guy, you know, whether it's broken, basically, of course, the engine's at the front, driving the front wheels as would normally be the case. Then there's a power takeoff and a prop shaft that goes to the rear axle, which is also driven. So somewhere in there,
that car's being driven by four wheels, so definitely the way it went around that corner. And it sounds to me, we don't know the exact, but just looking from that, it may be a bolt sheared, and there's maybe only one bolt holding the joint together on the prop shaft.
Drive then.
Should
we think? Is the difference? A prop shaft traditionally goes from gearbox to axle. A drive shaft goes from axle to wheel. So, you know, somewhere in the Czech to English dictionary translation, are we talking about he's lost a drive shaft?
It could be either a drive shaft or, you know, if a bolt has gone the prop shaft, it's very unusual. I've never heard of prop shafts failing on the Skodas, to be honest. So I'll be very surprised at that. Could maybe be a drive shaft. It sounds like, you know, a CV joint or perhaps one bolt on the prop shaft has sheared and the joint is effectively not held together properly.
Yeah.
We don't know, we're only surmising, but he's definitely got more than just two-wheel drive.
Well, he was saying after stage 9 that a bolt had sheared in the prop shaft, and so yeah. Left rear is being driven, isn't it? What
I'm
about
just wondering if it is or not.
Not sure. Martin Kangur coming through the stage, third on the road, so Jeremy Olsian has dropped out. He's not made it through the end of the stage. We saw the car was stopped, the Peugeot with the crew out. And Neil Cole down at the stage finish will get the word from the Estonian. He's Estonian, Neil, doesn't speak Polish.
Martin, how was that for you?
It was quite okay, but on the very last junction to the right, we hit the pole and shut down the engine, so we lost quite many seconds there.
Well, again, another Rally Poland stage without drama is going to be a very unusual Rally Poland stage, so a little bit of a stall.
Kopecky fastest at the split with whatever problem he has. We can see he's not struggling too much here for speed, but you can definitely hear the vibration.
Yeah, you can. It sounds absolutely dog rough. And that high-speed vibration, and you know, you go into the stage and you've got no option. You've just got to drive. If it survives, it survives. If it breaks, it breaks. And frankly, if you're doing 140 or 40 kilometers an hour through it, probably not going to make that much difference, which sounds like a ridiculous thing to say, but if it's going to go, it's going to go.
Yeah, it's going to go, and hopefully it doesn't jam up the transmission. That's the only problem he can have. Very rarely does that happen. Jan is the sort of driver, he has enough experience to know what the consequentials might be of a failure, so if he's pushing on that hard, I'm sure he's fairly confident that if whatever lets go that's making the noise, it's not going to cause too much of a problem to him, other than obviously putting him out the valley.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, isn't it? You know, in the old days, rally drivers just drove, co-drivers did everything. These days, the entire crew, you know, driver and co-driver, will end up going to the factory, and with the mechanics will learn how to take apart and rebuild lots of bits of the car. You know, we've all seen pictures, haven't we, of co-drivers and drivers trying to straighten suspension with big rocks at the side of the road. You carry a very limited supply of tools to try and repair what often is, you know, major damage on a car just to get it to crawl to service where the professionals are, and you just have to have some knowledge.
We're taught how to put it back together correctly, and how also to maybe put it back together not so correctly, just with what we have. So
with the tie-down strap for the tyre and everything.
Sometimes it can be drafted.
With Neil Cole.
Craig, how was that?
No, we hit something about 5k from the end. I don't know whether we broken or something, or a puncture or what it is, but yeah, something is broken in the back, so we lost a lot of time with that. But very, very tricky stage. I wasn't expecting to be as slippy as that, and we didn't run as big of a cut as we should have really, so we were very lucky to get away with it.
Puncture on the left rear, we can all clearly see it's cost him some time. Hopefully no more damage to the car, and he can just change the tyre and get on with the rest of the day, although they're going straight back to service now anyway. So,
well, not his first puncture either. He had one in yesterday's second televised stage. Young lady keeping her small son or daughter there well out of the way as Kopecky comes through.
See, the end of the stage is a lot wetter than the start.
Mikhail Solovov from Poland on the inset picture.
Road position is going to make a bigger difference today, I would have said, than yesterday, because we can clearly see with all the passing cars, there's a line coming.
And the more you dig down below the surface as well, the more you get rid of that slimy, really slippery mud on top, and you start to get into the lower strata, which, although it'll be damp, won't be quite as greasy, and so the tyres then get more purchase.
Absolutely, it's a little bit sort of slick on the top when you come as a first car, and you're moving a thin film of mud or a thicker film, doesn't matter. Your tyres are throwing that mud offline, and that's what the others are trying to follow. Keep all their 4 tyres in the previous car's line, and that's where the grip will be.
So coming across the line then is the fastest man on the stage so far, Mikhail Kosciuszko. Let's see what he's got to say to our man Neil. Rally radio there as well.
The door was stuck. Michal, the quickest time so far, was that a good stage for you?
Yeah, it was more difficult than the first two stages today. A lot of mud on the road, a lot of spectators, so we had some fun. Unfortunately, we touched something on the left side. I'm not sure what was that, but happily, I'm happy that it wasn't a wheel.
Well, there you go, he and Craig Breen, and it will often be the same place, won't it? Because you'll find cars getting dragged off the road in the same sort of position every time.
Absolutely, and you know, on rallies like this, gravel rallies, they're not allowed gravel crews, even in the ERC. You're not supposed to have them on tarmac, you know, but at the same time, they won't have had anybody through the stage since they wrecked these stages. So all of a sudden, when the road dries out, you start to push on as a driver, but you don't know when the next corner is coming that hasn't. So, you know, you're playing a bit of a lottery. You can only really drive on sight, or you have to mark it down where the water is deeper, where you don't expect it to go on the recce. And obviously that's a massive information that the co-driver and driver have to discuss the previous night to take out information that they don't need and leave in the critical information that they do. It's a hard balancing act.
On board with Mikhail Solovov, fourth fastest at the 9-kilometre split behind Katanovic, Kopecky and Craig Breen. And down in the right-hand side corner, you can see the UK tax disc. That's that little red and white thing taped onto the windscreen pillar of the Ford, because rally cars have to be road legal, and that is therefore wearing a vehicle revenue disc from the UK. Holovitz coming through the final part of the stage. Over the flying finish line, he comes down to join Neil Cole. Second fastest through the stage, so the local boys are going properly quickly at the moment.
Christoph, it looks like you've been a little bit wide on the left. How was the stage?
Was nice. Was better grip. Some part was really slippy, but I enjoy. Was very fast on some section. Nice jumps. Okay.
He's enjoying himself.
He is, isn't he? And this is a very different kind of off-road experience to him. He's done a lot of Dakar-style rally raids, and he said, you know, the car is completely new to him, completely different, and he's really producing the speed. Again, quality rising to the top. Well, here's the man who was fastest on the first two stages of the day today. Katanovic has gone 3.2 seconds quicker through stage 9 than Michał Kosciuszko, and he went 11 seconds quicker than rally leader overnight Brian Bouffier through the first stage. And Bouffier was 11th fastest. He dropped another, no, that was Boutvillas. Where was Bouffier on the third? He was third fastest, dropped another 7 seconds on the last stage. So Bouffier's lost 18 seconds overnight to this man. Katanovic is really flying. Meanwhile, Kopecky brings a car in need of some tender loving care to the finish line, but he does bring it to the finish line, and all the requisite bits seem to... Is that a front right drive shaft knocking down? There's something hanging down at the front right.
Underfloor protection, I would guess. You know, they're getting a hard time from the underside of the car on these bumpy roads, and obviously a lot of mud.
Yeah.
It'll just be protection, I would guess. But be interesting. Hopefully we can hear what the problem is.
Let's catch up with Neil Cole. He'll be asking the questions.
That's the quickest time so far. Are you able to push 100%?
Yeah, it seems that even we are missing one bolt, the car is still strong and it can handle, so thanks God.
And the conditions of the stage?
Hey, it was again a nice stage. And the places where it's the grip, it's really fantastic. But then you have very muddy places, and without the gravel crew, sometimes it's you can just wait what the car is doing.
There you go, and that's exactly why we have guys like Guy Wilkes, because he says exactly what the rally driver is thinking, because he thinks as a rally driver. And exactly as you said, you know, there are places where you've perhaps been used to some pretty consistent fast grip on a nice sandy track, and then you get into a big mud slurry and...
Absolutely, but on screen now we have the two men at the moment, don't we?
It's the battle for the lead, isn't it?
Yeah, he's taken the lead, and he's got the bit between his teeth. He can really seize the moment here, and hopefully a little bit of impetus on the rally, because Brian Bouffier has a problem. He has no problem, so Brian Bouffier actually lost in the first stage this morning 3/4 of a second per kilometre.
Yep.
In the last stage, half second a kilometre, with this stage being 26. If he loses another 10, 13 seconds, you know, it's going to give Katanovic a good advantage, and I'm sure he will know about Brian's problem, be trying to make the most of it.
Well, the thing is, you know, you're not in a secret little world as you would be in your Formula One car, where you have to wait for the team to somehow test something. You know, at the end of the stage, you will clear off, but then you're all in a queue at the beginning of the next stage, and, you know, it's like competitors anywhere. You know, you get out, especially the co-drivers will get out, have word with each other and go, what's going on, and you will see your rivals working on cars. You know, it's not rocket science. You know what's going on with the other guys.
You can't hide it. You can't hide it, so there's no point in hiding it. We're all fairly open, we're good friends. In between the stages as well, you know, and that's just how it is. If people have a problem, you don't want people to have problems. You want to have a good, clean fight all the way through. Unfortunately, rallying doesn't always happen like that.
Well, here's Mikhail Solovov at the end of the stage. He was 8th on the road this morning.
Third fastest. How was that for you?
Not bad. Part slippery. Nice driving, but the time is not good enough.
Solovov giving another Ari Vatanen interview. Car's fine, the stage is wonderful, driver's just a bit old and slow early at the moment.
He was fairly despondent there, wasn't he? He wasn't too happy with himself, but he's got nothing to really complain about. He was in a fight with Jan Kopecky for the last podium spot. He's still got time, and obviously Jan hasn't been cost too much time with his problem through there, which I'm guessing was a prop shaft bolt, from what Jan said at the end of the stage. It shouldn't cost him too much time. It will be a vibration, it would be a noise for Jan, and that would be all. Like we said before, he would just push on. If it broke, it broke. But Mikael there is doing a fantastic job, to be honest, but despite his age, he's still very, very competitive and has a great attitude for rallying.
Well, for a near 60-year-old professional businessman and amateur rally driver, with no disrespect to his abilities or his experience, you're right. I mean, to be pushing into the top 3 against factory drivers in factory cars, he's doing a sensational job. Brian Bouffier in the inset.
We can see the left rear of the car down. He's got a broken damper, Brian Bouffier, so hopefully it doesn't cost him too much, because we want to see a good battle right to the end, don't we?
Well, the effect that will have on the car is that it'll be very unstable at the rear, won't it? It'll be really wagging the tail, and you know, it'll have that thing. It won't really want to turn right. It'll really want to turn left a lot.
We thought Jan Kopecky had a bad noise. Hopefully we get some on board of Brian. We should hear some horrendous noises coming from the rear. If his damper is, even if it's just lost all of the pressure in it, it'll be slamming up to the bump stops, and it'll be almost metal to metal noise. It'll be horrendous
sound like
to
an
listen
accident with every bump. Katanovic, our rally leader, comes to the finish line.
You can see he just doesn't have the commitment. He doesn't dare push the car, because the car, look at it, kick and rear over those bumps.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of lock-stop to lock-stop moments on a stage like this.
He knows he just has to get back to service, cause the car no more damage, irreparable damage, get the car back to service and get himself back in the fight. He knows he can be quick. You know, there's obviously a major problem that is costing him time, so he just has to be, he's experienced. He will be trying to do exactly that.
One of the things when you ride in a rally car is how different the noise sounds to onboard. Onboard, the crew are mic'd up, and that's how you hear their pace notes and so on. But that's where the microphones are. They're in the intercom in the helmets, so they're very close to your mouth, like we are here in the booth. When you're in the car, I mean, when you're here, you don't hear the machine gun rattle of stones underneath from the wheels, and you don't hear the crashing and the banging of broken bits of suspension as clearly as you would in the car.
No, the helmets and intercom systems now are so good. You know, the helmets, literally the earphones in the helmets, they clamp around your ears so tightly, they block out a lot of background noise, which obviously, you can see the car kicking there over those bumps. You know, obviously he's got an ill-handling car. It's that rear damper is just pumping and doing it whatever it wants, really. But yeah, going back to the intercoms, they're so good. I mean, these cars are revving to now 9,000 RPM almost. You know, it's a lot of noise generated by the car. They're solidly mounted engines and gearboxes and transmissions. You get a lot of vibration and resonance that you feel through your bodies, because there is no rubber mounts to take any vibration or resonance out. And you need a good intercom. Here's Brian coming to the finish.
Yes, you do. So Bouffier working really hard with that broken damper. Only 6th quickest, lost 20 seconds. And you feel the rally slipping away from him. Obviously, they're going to service now. The car will be 100% when it comes back out for the next run of stages, but the damage has been done. Neil Cole is there to have a word with Bouffier.
Brian, you dropped a bit of time in there. What happened?
You know, till middle of first stage, I got a rear dampers broken. You know, I've got no oil inside, so you know I'm driving as fast as I can in this condition. Also, I've tried to manage the mechanics because some parts are really bumpy. So I have to say, okay, I'm disappointed to lose the lead, but anyway, I'm happy to be here because we could be stopped in the stage.
It can't be easy to drive in these conditions with that going on.
No, for sure it's not easy, but you know it's okay. I at least had 3 good dampers, so it's okay.
And you can push again this afternoon after service?
We'll see, but you know now the gap is quite big. I think it's 17 seconds, so we'll see what happens. I will try for sure, but I think also today the stages are quite fast with a lot of top speed, and I think we cannot fight. But anyway, it's not bad.
Brian Bouffier, ever the optimist, but...
I had 3 dampers.
Yes.
It's only a flesh wound. Come back and fight you can. And good news, you know, never give up. We talked about how driver and co-driver often spend a lot of time with the mechanics in the factory before the season starts, learning how to fix the car. Jeremy Ancian and his co-driver on the radio, clearly back to service, have somehow managed to beat it with a stick hard enough that the thing has actually restarted and got going again. Fix something, reconnect. You know, you'll have a backup fuel pump, you'll have a backup this, a backup that, a backup the other in the car as much as you can. And so they've somehow got a workaround. Car's moving, it's coming out of the stage. All right, effectively in terms of time, rally's over, but getting the mileage under his belt, trying to do as much as he can now is his job. And Toshi Arai pushing on. We saw Dominicus Butvilas, another of the Class 2 R4 cars, the Mitsubishi Lancer. He was first on the road, and Toshi is running 11th on the road, as he was yesterday. Car run by Austria's Stoll Racing. Manfred Stoll, former World Rally champion and multiple European champion, and Siggy Stoll, his son.
Toshi doesn't seem to be enjoying this rally, but he's still only a minute, just over a minute behind the Group N leader, Butvilas.
Should we apologise in advance for the onboard audio? I think we might need to, just in case. Yesterday's televised stage he found to be very colourful indeed. And the TV director, perhaps wisely, not going with the onboard shot there.
He was very colourful in his choice language yesterday.
Yes,
good command of the English language, but maybe not the correct choice of words.
Good mechanics English, more, more so than you might have expected.
Toshi, 10th quickest through there. How was it for you?
Yeah, very difficult. So bumpy road, so not good for Group L car. Yeah.
Well, yesterday he was saying about how rutted and slippy it was. Today it's the bumps, and that's very much been the nature of the stage. Not as deeply ploughed as yesterday's, and some of the, you know, the Thursday and especially Thursday's rain that washed out some of Recce has kind of soaked away into the landscape, and so the tracks are a little bit, maybe slightly different in nature, but holding up a little bit better as well. And so now the bumps are, you know, more in evidence.
Yeah, I mean, Toshi's getting a bit older now, and I think he knows a Group N car pretty well, especially a Subaru, and he's just decided that obviously he's not used to these conditions as much as he might have thought he was, and he's not prepared to push the car as hard. I mean, at one point in his career, early on in his career, he was he would have kept it flat until it either ended or it got to the finish. And obviously he's chosen to be a bit more sensible, especially on this rally.
I'm thinking that Jeremy Ancian has got a gearbox that's not playing the game. He is only on 2-wheel drive. I was going to say, the only time we've seen him on board is been in 6th gear, and yet when he was going up that incline, the car was clearly slowing down. All right, so he's got 2-wheel drive only.
He should be short shifting here to try and get traction in the car. Just drive it like a front-wheel drive car. He's been in front-wheel drive cars. That's where he's cut his teeth. He's doing exactly that. He's not pushing on, he's just hoping to get to the end of the stage, whether he's had to disconnect the prop shaft in the stage or whether it was just inexperience and he didn't know what the noise was. Sometimes when you have that little bit more experience, you hear all sorts of weird and wonderful noises coming from a rally car. Sometimes they are a mechanical issue, sometimes they're not. And you just need that little bit more experience.
I'm sorry. This stage was, I think, one of the most difficult gravel stages I did, and first time here in Poland and first time on gravel out of our country, so very difficult for us, especially with the pace notes. The synchronization is quite difficult, and trusting is quite difficult. But we made a good stage, and we are improving on driving on mud.
On us to count, I think, but in Turkey,
driving on mud as opposed to gravel.
These conditions in Turkey aren't too dissimilar to certain parts of Turkey, especially Rally Turkey, which is featured obviously in the WRC. Just the terrain is completely different. It's a very flat terrain, much more technical perhaps in Turkey.
Jeremy Onsian being caught very quickly by the next Polish crew. Stanowiecki coming up right behind him in another Super 2000 Fiesta. Did not get held up though by the Peugeot, so very lucky indeed for the Polish driver. Let's hear from Jeremy Onsian.
Jeremy, tell us what happened.
I broke my central transmission. I lose so many minutes. I hope the second loop it will be better.
So the central transmission, again essentially this is a front wheel drive car, so the engine above the gearbox between the front wheels, then there's another transmission to take the drive to the rear wheels to make it four-wheel drive. That's the bit that broke and probably needed disconnecting or strapping up. 2013 Rally Poland continues, the 70th running of Rally Poland, and after another fast run through the stage, Kajtan Katanovic, who took the lead over from Brian Bouffier on the first stage this morning, has opened that advantage. It's now 20.6 seconds first to second, so Bouffier with a broken damper in the stage, losing more time as he did on stage 9 a little earlier. Jan Kopecki, who went through the stage fastest so far, looks unlikely to be beaten on the test. Now third quickest, 56.5 behind the second place car, 1 minute 17 behind the leader, and now 15 seconds behind him, and that's perhaps the disappointment for Mikołaj Solovov, who was a little bit down crested at the end of the stage. He's gone from a couple of seconds back to 15 seconds back as we see Gryadzin, the pole, wrong slotting. That is a classic wrong slot, Guy Wilkes. The notes weren't quite spot on, and he had no option but just to go straight up the escape road.
Yeah, he did definitely. He took the right option, because if he'd tried to halfway house that, he was definitely into the barn. So yeah, he took the right option there. He was carrying too much speed straight on through the tapes. Obviously it's all marked up correctly, so an escape road perfectly planned.
So now he looks like he's on the way down the motorway to I don't know what, Man United match or something. Nice long streamers out behind the car. That won't worry him at all. He'll just be cursing the loss of time, and that was, you see the farm in the background.
It would have been a good time. He lost 10 seconds, definitely.
At least, because he's just gone in, whipped it round on the handbrake and gunned it back out. But again, you know, coming out through a little hairpin left. So yeah, that one tiny little bit of over-enthusiasm at the end of a 25-odd kilometre stage has just cost him perhaps everything he built up in the previous 25 kilometres.
What happened? You still said a very good time, but it looks like you went straight on at a junction.
Yeah, it was very good stage. I was very good, and there was low corner after the crest, and we're going straight. It was stupid, I think.
But apart from that, a great stage.
Yeah, very good stage, and I was driving very good, and I like it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I called him Russian. He's not. He's Polish, rather. He's Lithuanian, Vasily Gryadzin, and laughing that off, Guy Wilkes. You know, just one little moment of misfortune. Jan Kopecki then 0.6 of a second faster than Kaj Katanovic all the way through the stage. Michał Kościuszko third fastest ahead of Mikołaj Solovov and Krzysztof Holowicz. So Jan Kopecki, the Czech Republic driver, the only one to somehow squeeze in front of a phalanx of Polish drivers, and former Polish champion Brian Bouffier, sixth position on the stage. Martin Kangur just being a little cautious, seventh, and Gryadzin, well, he lost 10 seconds there. That could have put him third or fourth on the stage had he not slotted up that farm track.
But Kajtanovic has done exactly what he needed to do. He knew Bouffier was in a predicament with his damper gone, and okay, he didn't win the stage. That's the first stage win for Jan Kopecky of the rally, I think. And,
I think so.
you know, he's pulled that out of the bag when he's had a problem with the car. I know he doesn't like the slippery conditions, but yes, they are better than yesterday, but still unpredictable. Yep. But yeah, like we said, Kajetanovic has done a cracking job there and just opened up a bit of a margin on Brian Bouffier. Will be interesting to see if he can hold on to that with a Super 2000 car against an R5 car. Brian Bouffier was not too confident of it, but closing the gap, but let's see.
2 3-time Polish rally champions. In fact, Kajetanovic, as we understand it, may well now be a 4-time Polish rally champion. So perhaps no surprise to see them right at the top of the pile. And with Jan Kopecky not having to win this to keep his ERC championship hopes well on track, he can afford to just pick up the pieces when it goes wrong for the others. So that's the end of our first live stage coverage this morning. The rally continues throughout the day, and we'll be back on this stage later on this afternoon, again with more live coverage of Rally Poland. So join us please this afternoon for our final stage coverage of Rally Poland. Guy Wilkes and myself, Martin Haven, looking forward to bringing the action on later on this afternoon. Until then, from us, for now, it's goodbye.